But when embezzlement was in the news, Mary didn't say a word. But she did act. She deleted all mentions of Brown from her social profiles. She removed a few photos of Kody and his kids with Robyn. She started marketing her solo wellness company with renewed passion and hope. And most significantly, she liked and commented on Christine's "I Stand with Janelle" post. For longtime followers, these were quiet but strong gestures. Mary might not have taken out police reports or made public declarations, but she made it clear she is no longer aligned with Kody. If there is one individual now under the most scrutiny, and perhaps legal jeopardy, it's Robyn Brown. Initially hailed as the humble, sweet fourth wife, Robyn soon emerged as the most contentious character in the Brown family drama. She was Kody's sole lawfully wedded wife. She got the lion's share of his time, attention, and money. Her children came first. Her house was lavish. Her issues were effortlessly resolved. But now, Robyn is coming under scrutiny by many fans, and possibly by investigators, as a central player in the money scandal. Why? Because many of the accounts the forensic accountant tracked back to business entities Robyn shared with Kody, and those funds said to have been misappropriated. Some were tracked straight to household use and personal expenditures for her and her children alone. Robyn's response was, apparently, panic. Insiders say she's already retained legal counsel. Some reports indicate that she's distancing herself from Kody in private, stating she was in the dark regarding the handling of money. Others indicate she's looking ahead to a possible financial audit or civil lawsuit on her own. And although she hasn't gone on record, her silence is deafening. No social updates, no words, no denial, just silence. And a growing public skepticism that now labels her not only as Kody's pet favorite, but as a possible co-conspirator. Kody Brown's whole persona has been constructed on bravado. He's boisterous, charismatic, always in control. Or so he wanted everyone to perceive him. But following Janelle's bombshell claims, that persona is breaking down. Rather than speaking graciously or responding to questions, Kody purportedly reacted to the police report with anger and denial. He informed reporters he was being attacked, that the allegations were baseless, and that his former wives were bitter and out for revenge. But here's the issue. The facts don't lie. And as law enforcement continues to investigate, Kody is becoming increasingly alone than ever before. His children with Janelle and Christine have spoken out in support of their mothers. His TLC future is up in the air. And his sole remaining wife might be getting ready to sever ties for her own protection. Kody transformed from patriarch to pariah in a matter of hours. The most tragic aspect of this blowback has been the effect on the children. 18 in all, spread across 4 mothers and more than 2 decades of combined family life. Some of the grown children, particularly Janelle's and Christine's, have finally spoken out. Gabe and Garrison, Janelle's sons, publicly estranged themselves from their father for years, complaining of emotional neglect and favoritism. But after their mom made the report, they posted a joint video endorsing her action. "We watched our mom work her tail off for years while dad played favorites. We always wondered where the money went. Now we know." Mykelti, Christine's daughter, wrote Kody was a leader. "It turns out he was a user. Proud of my moms for standing up." The emotional toll of this betrayal transcends money. It's about self-respect, validation, and taking back their voices after years of hurt and confusion. While the Brown family's soap opera bleeds into real-world courtroom reality, TLC is now at a fork in the road. The Sister Wives franchise, which was a cultural oddity, has become a drama-filled behemoth. But now, with criminal charges, active investigations, and possible lawsuits, the network is enormous risk. Sources tell us that TLC has temporarily halted production. Some think they're checking on contracts and exposures. Others believe this could be it for the show forever. But some sources suggest something more sensational. There is a possible spin-off based on Janelle and Christine, following their lives after Kody and their path to financial and emotional independence. Either direction, this is certain. TLC can no longer turn a blind eye to the flames. Across YouTube, forums, and social media, Fan response has been high-strung and passionate. Reddit discussion threads break down each fiscal document and timeline. TikTokers create sympathy videos for Janelle with the popular audio "She's not the villain, she's the victim." #justice for Janelle and #Kody exposed trend again and again. The Brown family slowly fell apart for years, as audiences witnessed each episode. Now they're witnessing the reckoning. Conclusion. The aftershock. This isn't merely a reality TV controversy. It's a public reckoning of betrayal, control, and injustice. Janelle didn't call the police. She initiated a movement. A movement that says, you can ask questions, you can say no to emotional and financial manipulation, and you can reclaim your power, even if it means taking on someone who once professed to love you. As the Brown empire crumbles, the world no longer wonders, what is Kody going to do next? They wonder, how far will Janelle go to obtain the justice she and so many others deserve? The courtroom fell silent. You could sense the tension like a live wire present in the air, taut and sizzling. A space normally filled with echoes of muffled sidebars and shifting legal pads had been turned into a space of reckoning. And at the center of it all stood a man once revered as the head of a modern American polygamist dynasty, Kody Brown, now waiting for a judge to decide not just his financial fate, but the final legacy of his fractured family. Across the room, upright, serene, but irresistibly authoritative, was Janelle Brown. No longer one of the wives, no longer a peripheral figure in a TV experiment gone wrong. She had become the face of justice. This wasn't about cash anymore. This was about respect, truth, and justice. Let's go back deep into the climax. The verdict that shocked the nation, left Kody speechless, and completely transformed the sister wives drama. The build-up to the verdict, after weeks of testimony, forensic audits, tearful family declarations, and incriminating financial trails, the Brown versus Brown case was a TV sensation. Court TV broadcast it live. YouTube channels dissected it hour by hour. Social media made the courtroom sketches into memes, and Twitter went with the hashtag #BrownVerdict. The crux of the case was this: did Kody Brown spend family money for personal gain? Did he transfer shared funds to secret accounts with Robyn and leave the other wives high and dry? And most importantly, was it on purpose? Janelle's attorneys were tight as a drum. They provided paper trails of payments, deposited into LLCs co-owned by Robyn, cash payments for high-end home upgrades on Robyn's estate, while Janelle had to reside in a tiny RV. Business revenue that somehow never ended up going into the shared accounts. Text messages that exposed manipulation and gaslighting when Janelle confronted Kody about missing money. Kody's defense: flimsy, brush-offish, on the brink of delusional. He said the funds were spent to build the family dream, and that miscommunication caused the misunderstanding. But the judge wasn't having it, and neither was the court of public opinion. The moment the verdict was read, when the jury came back with their verdict, you could cut the air with a knife. In the case of embezzlement, financial impropriety, and fiduciary breach, we hold in favor of the plaintiff, Janelle Brown. A ripple of gasp swept through the room. We grant damages in the sum of $415,000, payable within 90 days by the defendant, Kody Brown. $415,000. That figure would become legendary. A figure that stood for years of gaslighting, manipulation, money lies, and emotional abandonment. Kody didn't say a word. He didn't yell. He didn't even blink initially. He just sat there, stunned. A man who had dominated the story for decades was now publicly, legally, and irrevocably accountable. Later that day, Janelle stood outside the courthouse, flanked by cameras and supporters. But unlike the reality TV melodrama viewers were accustomed to, she wasn't cackling. She was grounded, calm, intentional, gracious, but firm. This wasn't about revenge, she told the microphones. This was about fairness, about accountability, about ensuring no other woman in my position ever questions her value again. She went on, when I left that marriage, I had nothing. I had given everything to the family. I was instructed to trust. I did. And I was betrayed. But today, I reclaimed something that was taken. My voice. Her words became a rallying cry for women everywhere. The internet erupted. Clips of Janelle's post-trial testimony went viral. TikTokers referenced her with fierce pride. Twitter threads celebrated her as a quiet warrior. And even mainstream news outlets ran with headlines like Janelle Brown brings down polygamous patriarch. $415K verdict shatters reality TV image. Sister wife no more. Janelle becomes hero for women. Everywhere. The hashtags went wild. #justice for Janelle. #Kody. Got served. She won. #Brown. Reckoning. Janelle verdict victory. Janelle, who was once underestimated and overshadowed, had become an icon of strength and empowerment. The aftermath for Kody was brutal. In the weeks after the verdict, he lost 2 key public speaking engagements. TLC canceled all productions with him or Robyn. Some of his business associates started pulling out, expressing moral objections. Old friends and even some close relatives started avoiding him. It is reported that Kody descended into paranoia and solitude. He felt betrayed not only by the court, but by his ex-wives, by his children, and by the public. A man once so proud to lead his family had become a man alone, holding on to the ruins of his own making. Robyn's collapse and legal issues. As the spotlight remained on Kody, rumors increased regarding Robyn Brown's role. New filings indicate Robyn may be in line for civil action for her role in co-managing accounts utilized in the financial scheme. Her lawyers are working behind closed doors to negotiate settlements, but that is irrelevant to the public, whose impression of her has been irrevocably damaged. Robyn, who had positioned herself as the obedient, modest wife, is now complicit, a co-author of a betrayal of sisterhood and mutual trust. Her social media is quiet, her public reputation is left in ruins, and to a lot of fans, she's no longer the fourth wife, she's the last straw. While Kody's universe disintegrates, Janelle's is on the ascendant. She's been reportedly courted by giant platforms for a docuseries on her life after Brown, a book deal on how she went from being a sister wife to an independent woman, public speaking engagements on women's empowerment and financial literacy. Kody Brown is said to be working on a number of these ventures, including a reclaimed reality series with Janelle, Kody, and the girls. Meri, who is now completely separated from Kody, is developing her wellness empire and may team up with her previous sister wives for a Healing After Plural Marriage podcast. What began as a reality show centered on shared marriage has turned into a movement of women prioritizing self-worth over mutual misery. At first glance, the courtroom fight between Janelle and Kody appears to be just another celebrity breakup, escalated to litigiousness. But it is not. It's a commentary on how power is misused in alternative relationships, how women are conditioned to squelch discomfort for the good of family harmony, how control and secrecy-based systems ultimately crumble beneath the load of truth. Janelle's $415,000 win wasn't merely monetary damages. It was confirmation, public recognition that what she experienced counted, that her voice was worth hearing, that her suffering was real, and that her path from silence to empowerment would move millions. The last courtroom scene might have been the end of a chapter in law, but for Janelle it was a beginning, one that was not defined by polygamy, not defined by Kody, not even defined by sister wives, but defined by her courage, her clarity, and her refusal to stand for injustice, no matter how long it had stood. As she descended those courthouse steps, she wasn't simply ending a legal war, she was stepping into a legacy. What if the man you trusted for 30 years, the father of your children, the partner you constructed your entire life around, was secretly stealing from you blind? What if the same man who preached family togetherness, love, and trust was quietly stealing money behind your back, siphoning funds away while you kept the family together, believing in something that never existed at all? That's not only an exaggerated tale. It's precisely what Janelle Brown is currently alleging. In a stunning twist that has turned the sister wives world upside down, Janelle summoned the police to report her ex-husband, Kody Brown, for allegedly embezzling more than $1 million from family coffers they used to control jointly. And now, what began as a reality television split has become a possible criminal case that can land Kody in prison. But how did we arrive here? What prompted Janelle to make this explosive move after all the years of fidelity and silence? And what is she accusing Kody of, anyway? Let's roll back this drama and bring you up to speed on the cash, the deceptions, the betrayal, and the justice Janelle is now seeking. It didn't begin with a bang, but decades of subtle financial ambiguity. From the start of their existence on Sister Wives, the Brown family stridently presented themselves as a harmonious plural family, several wives, one man, and shared everything. That meant shared child-rearing, shared houses, and shared money. All the wives, including Janelle, Christine, Mary, and Robyn, later on, added to the family kitty. Whether TLC contracts, brand sponsorships, books, or property investments, everything was allegedly routed into a common pot, which was to be looked after by Kody. But behind the hugging and familial vibes was a system so opaque that even the wives had no idea where the money went. For years, Janelle trusted the system. She believed in the plural lifestyle. She believed in Kody. She even defended him when critics called him controlling or manipulative. But things started to shift once Robyn joined the family. Kody began spending more time and money with her. Viewers noticed, the other wives noticed. And so did Janelle. She started asking questions, not only about love, but about money. And every time she did, Kody supposedly evaded with evasive answers, muddled numbers, or simply closed down the discussion. Yet Janelle remained, hanging on to hope things would go back to the way they were. They didn't. The turning point actually came after they broke up. After Janelle broke up with Kody, she attempted to get a life of her own. She attempted to purchase her own house, open her own bank accounts, and get a little independence. That's when she reportedly found something shocking. Money she believed was hers was missing. Family accounts she thought were shared were depleted. Company accounts had been drained. Money from their TLC revenues and real estate sales was gone. And the worst news? Some of the money had allegedly been sent into personal accounts belonging to Kody and Robyn. At first, Janelle thought it was a mistake, but she didn't stop there. She hired a forensic accountant, a financial investigator who specializes in tracking down hidden funds. And what that investigator allegedly found was enough to take this private pain public. More than $1 million had been embezzled, stolen without her permission, and spent for unknown purposes, Janelle's group declared. The lion's share was channeled through LLCs and shell accounts associated with Kody's business enterprises. And so, something no one believed she ever would do. Janelle picked up the phone, dialed the authorities, and made a formal police complaint charging Kody Brown with embezzlement. The reaction was instant and incendiary. Within days, news broke across major tabloids and fan pages. The Brown family, once seen as a reality TV curiosity, had now become a real-life legal drama. Christine Brown, who has long stood by Janelle, voiced her support publicly. She hinted that she'd suspected financial manipulation for years, but never had the proof. "I'm proud of her," Christine posted. "It's time someone held him accountable." Mary, Kody's frequently estranged first wife, remained silent, but she removed all evidence of Kody from her social media accounts. And then Robyn, the only wife remaining married to Kody. Insiders say Robyn was shocked and enraged, not only due to the accusation, but because if it leads back to money trail pointing to her, she may also be brought in for questioning. Lawyers were reached out to. TLC supposedly suspended production. And the fans were split but intrigued. Some jumped into Janelle's corner, declaring this long overdue accountability. Others were skeptical of the timing, asking if it was just part of some larger media strategy. But one thing is for sure, the allegations are true, and the authorities are now engaged. So what's next? If Kody gets charged and convicted of embezzlement, he could be in for a world of hurt. Jail time, restitution, public humiliation. Worse still, he might lose custody rights, property, and any remaining contracts with the network. But for Janelle, this isn't about money, it's about truth. After years of being silenced, ignored, and financially dominated, she's finally speaking up, not only for herself, but for her children, and for all the women who've been told to just shut up. Her quiet strength has now become a thunderous roar that's rocking the foundation of the family empire Kody created. So here we are. A 30-year marriage. A dysfunctional family. Millions of viewers. And a possible million-dollar crime that would turn everything upside down. Was Kody actually stealing money all these years? Did Robyn know? And is this the ultimate nail in the coffin for the one-time famous Brown family? Only time will tell. But if Janelle has her way, justice is brewing. And Kody will finally be held accountable for everything. Because this time, the cameras aren't rolling just for drama. They may be rolling for court. Those ominous words, now validated by insiders to the sister wives family, were uttered by no other than Janelle Brown, the former devoted wife of polygamous patriarch Kody Brown. And at that time, the shroud of decades of domination, manipulation, and fiscal secrecy was torn off in the most sensational way imaginable. This wasn't merely a family dispute. This wasn't merely a reality TV meltdown. This was a woman pushed to the edge, filing a formal complaint with law enforcement, accusing the man she once loved of stealing over $1 million. But for fans who followed Janelle's journey for over a decade, the most shocking part of this story isn't that Kody might have embezzled the money. It's that Janelle finally said enough. She picked up the phone. She made the call. And now, nothing is ever going to be the same again. For years, audiences saw Janelle as the steady, no-nonsense pillar of the Brown family. She wasn't boisterous like Christine. She wasn't tearful like Mary. And she wasn't indulged like a queen, as Robyn was. Janelle was the one who quietly held everything together. She paid the bills. She worked a steady job. She supported her children. And through all of it she placed her emotional and financial trust in one man. Kody. Kody, the charming father of 18, liked to present himself as the provider and patriarch of the Brown family. But in private, sources say, it was Janelle who organized the logistics, the spreadsheets, the schedules, and even big-ticket financial choices. Or at least, so she believed. Behind closed doors, Kody was purportedly doing his own thing, one that had nothing to do with equal sharing of finances or careful planning. It had to do with control, not telling, and in the end, the subtle diversion of family money. To outsiders, the collapse of the Brown clan seemed to start amid the COVID-19 pandemic. That's when the tensions reached a boil on television. Kody became more controlling. He set strict rules about visitation. He spent nearly all his time with Robyn, and the rest of the wives felt ignored and abandoned. Janelle, being the patient one that she was, attempted to keep the peace. She defended him sometimes, even when her own kids were being alienated by their dad. But behind that tough exterior was a woman who was becoming more and more suspicious, not just of Kody's favoritism, but of where the money was spent. In a number of Sister Wives episodes, Janelle is witnessed questioning Kody difficult questions regarding money, questions that were always greeted with half-truths, evasion or gaslighting. Nonetheless, she remained. Why? Because that's who Janelle was. Faithful, practical, and constantly believing that the man she built her life around would get it right. Series insiders reveal that the turning point came soon after Janelle separated from Kody. With production shut down, and the family no longer residing together, Janelle made up her mind to begin anew. She started looking into housing, trying to buy a small house for herself and her children. That's when all came crashing down. Her financial advisor reportedly discovered that Janelle's portion of family holdings was either missing, depleted, or invested in businesses she had no control over. Even worse, several joint accounts were completely off limits to her now. Insider reports claim that in excess of $1 million was missing, including money Janelle thought had been saved from their TLC profits and side businesses. To verify her worst suspicions, Janelle hired a forensic accountant, a move that would alter everything. The findings: a number of transfers executed from family-owned LLCs into accounts alleged to be connected to Kody and Robyn's names alone. Some of the transfers had been made while Janelle was still legally bound to the businesses. Others had been executed quietly, mere months after Christine departed the family. Janelle was heartbroken, but she wasn't surprised. She had heard the warnings for years. Online fans had wondered if Kody was manipulative. Christine had intimated as much. Even Mary, though reserved, had questioned his fidelity. Now Janelle had concrete evidence. They say that every woman has her breaking point. Janelle's arrived not in tears, but in determination. She didn't scream. She didn't vent on social media. She grabbed the phone and made a call. Janelle made a sworn complaint to the police accusing Kody of embezzlement, misappropriation of jointly held marital property, and possible financial fraud. It was the first time ever in the Brown family's public life that a legal authority became involved in a marital dispute. And for Kody, it was the ultimate betrayal. Sources maintain that he was livid, insisting it was a misunderstanding and an attack intended to ruin his reputation. But Janelle didn't blink. This wasn't revenge, it was justice. It was about taking back her voice after all those years of silence. And above all, it was about defending what belonged to her and her kids. A new era begins. As the investigation goes on, fans and the media wait with a collective breath in their throats. Will Kody be arrested? Will Robyn's name come up in the files? Will the TLC franchise proceed and thrive, or implode under legal pressure? No one can say for certain, but this much is certain. Janelle has had enough of playing the demure wife. She's tired of waiting for the truth to reveal itself on its own. And now, with legal support, financial analysts, and an increasing public groundswell of support, she's no longer struggling. She's taking charge. For years, the public regarded Janelle Brown as the practical one, the wife who held the Brown family down to earth. While Mary was aloof emotionally, Christine got restless, and Robyn became the obvious favorite. Janelle was the dependable presence, quietly paying bills, taking care of the children, and working full-time outside the house to assist in keeping the family financially stable. But under the surface of that calm exterior, something far more sinister was occurring. A smoldering financial tempest that one day would erupt into full-fledged legal action. It wasn't mere dollars here and there. It was years of muddled lines, secret transactions, lost funds, and ultimately the breach of trust on a scale most families never get over. Let's travel back to the beginning. In polygamous families such as the Browns, finances tend to be communal. Each wife brings in her income, whether from employment, business deals, or reality TV show paychecks, and puts it into the pot, where it is spent for the benefit of the whole family. That's just the way the Brown family reported to function, at least during the initial seasons of Sister Wives. Janelle, an accounting and business background having, took her role very seriously. She worked outside the home part-time, in such jobs as a real estate agent. She also contributed her share of the TLC earnings, and in common with the other wives, she felt that the financial pie was being split evenly. Kody, on the other hand, acted as the money manager, the person responsible for making the major decisions, property buys, taxes, and long-term strategy. But according to more recent accusations and insider sources, Janelle and the other wives were not privy to what was really being done with the money. No statement of accounts, no open budgets, no sit-downs for explaining major buys, just blind trust, and Kody's word. And for a while at least, Janelle gave it to him. Even the greatest devotee of heart has a limit. And for Janelle, that limit started to approach when the family's finances began to crumble under the weight of bad real estate decisions and unbalanced spending. When the Browns relocated from Utah to Las Vegas, then Flagstaff, Arizona, they made several huge financial transactions, purchasing and selling houses, leasing properties, investing in land at Coyote Pass, all without an explicit plan laid before the public or to some of the wives. Flagstaff was meant to be the new beginning, the site where they would finally construct on Coyote Pass and spend their pluralist dreams in perfect harmony. But instead, it was a sign of discombobulation, money woes, and fragmentation. Janelle repeatedly expressed concern about how long it was taking to build, how rent was draining their resources, and how nothing ever seemed to move forward. She pushed Kody for answers, but his responses always seemed more focused on emotional distractions and family loyalty than financial clarity. On screen, viewers saw Kody criticize Janelle's budget. Behind closed doors, according to sources, he frequently complained the wives' spending was the reason for their financial woes, despite Janelle being the sole provider, with regular outside income, for most of the family's trip. The more questions she asked, the more nebulous the replies were. The more forcefully she demanded more detail, the more defensive Kody grew. And maybe the most revealing part, Robyn always managed to get what she wanted. Robyn Brown has routinely been accused by fans of being the family pet, and in many respects, Kody's de facto legal wife, even before they were properly wed. But financially speaking, her involvement in the alleged embezzlement is more suspicious than fans initially knew. Robyn and Kody formed a business as a partnership under the name Debsark Entertainment, derived using initials of their children's names. This LLC purportedly covered several sources of income, derived from sister wives' popularity, such as book sales and fees for appearances. Janelle, Christine, and Mary were never designated as members of this LLC. Why? That's the million-dollar question, literally. While the family professed oneness, funds were being channeled into favoritist hands. Robyn's houses were larger. Her expenses were paid. Her online shop was supported by the family, while Christine's and Janelle's solo ventures were frequently nipped in the bud. From recent insider reports, some of the most dubious financial transactions uncovered by Janelle's forensic accountant included transfers between family-owned businesses and private accounts belonging to Robyn and Kody. These were no paltry sums. These were regular systematic movements of money that indicated deliberate drain. If true, that's not merely Kody mismanaging funds. He was willfully relocating assets from other wives, and Janelle was perhaps the ultimate victim thereof. By the time Janelle started her discreet inquiry into the finances of the family, she knew how entangled the web had grown. Multiple LLCs, loans incurred in the name of the common business, purchases of land connected to Kody and Robyn, with other wives omitted from paperwork altogether. At some point, Christine admitted she couldn't even find out about her name being stripped from some of the properties. Janelle learned accounts she had contributed to were closed or transferred, with no records provided to her. She began to wonder everything. Where did the money from Coyote Pass end up? How was Robyn's $900,000 home paid for? Why was Kody insisting Janelle borrow loans in her name, and then refusing to share specifics? When she requested financial reports, she allegedly received silence. When she demanded openness, she was instructed to trust the process. But Janelle had trusted the process too long, and she was finished waiting. Initially, Janelle suspected perhaps it was mismanagement, but the more she investigated, the clearer the pattern emerged. This was not an error. It was a deliberate operation, years in the making and shielded by emotional control and manipulation. In an aggressive action, Janelle called in outside assistance. A forensic accountant reviewed years' worth of statements, transfer records, and business documents, and what they uncovered stunned her. Over $1 million in possibly misappropriated money. Some of it was missing. Some had been invested in enterprises Janelle never knew about, and some was sitting in accounts she had no legal right to, despite contributing to them. And so, the emotional breakdown became a legal one. Then and there, the dark side of the Brown family dynamic was more clearly revealed than in any episode ever. The Browns had been portrayed to fans for years as an imperfect but loving family. But beneath the perfect facade, power and money were tearing them apart more than anything else ever could. Janelle's increasing perplexity eventually gave way to silent suspicion, and ultimately, divine proof of infidelity. And now that she possesses it, she's not merely walking away. She's fighting back, because this wasn't merely about a marriage crumbling. This was about decades of being economically gaslit, lied to, and robbed of autonomy, until the day she finally said enough. And if what she discovered is accurate, then Kody Brown isn't merely a reality television star with a dysfunctional family. He could be a man with a criminal case on his hands. For more than a decade, Janelle Brown said nothing. She gave, she compromised, she made peace. But as with so many women who give and give for love, loyalty, and family, she came to a place where silence wasn't strength anymore. It was betrayal. And it all started coming apart when Janelle attempted to do the simplest, most natural thing that any woman might do when ending a long relationship: move out into her own place. But what she learned when she attempted to purchase a small house would not only shatter whatever delicate trust she had remaining with Kody, it would cause her to find a staggering $1 million fiscal betrayal that changed everything. Here's what happened. A new start, or so she thought. After she parted ways with Kody, Janelle was eager to start anew, not only emotionally, but in body as well. For years she had lived in rentals, RVs, and makeshift arrangements, while Kody assured her that their vision of building on Coyote Pass would finally be realized. It never was. Christine had already departed. Mary was emotionally out of it. Robyn was still the darling, with her big house and money. But Janelle, she wanted to be independent. So she did what any rational, forward-thinking individual would. She began looking for a house. Her credit was good. She'd saved up money, or she believed so. Her portion of the TLC profits alone should have been more than sufficient for a down payment. And she'd contributed thousands to the family pool over the years. Money that by any rational standard should have been accessible to her. But when she met with a mortgage broker, the blow came out of left field. Her accounts were bare. Red flags and disappeared funds. She initially assumed it was a bank mistake. Perhaps the funds were under another account. Perhaps Kody had transferred it temporarily and just forgotten to inform her. Perhaps the documents hadn't yet caught up. She phoned, she emailed, she inquired, but the responses were at best vague and at worst evasive. Then the larger shock. The family accounts she'd contributed to for more than 10 years had been closed or changed, and she no longer had any access to them. That's when the panic began. She began digging. She checked through old records. She looked through emails, tax statements, pay stubs, and gradually, the truth came to light. Janelle wasn't merely left in the dark. She'd been erased financially. Bringing in the experts, not knowing what to do, and no longer wanting to be gaslighted, Janelle took a big leap. She brought in a forensic accountant. These experts are trained to find missing money, illicit transfers, and paper trails that people attempt to cover up. With her own records in her possession and access to the outdated LLC paperwork, Janelle gave it all to the pro. What they found was more than sloppy accounting. It was a deliberately tiered scheme of financial deception, spanning years. Leaked internal reports indicate the accountant discovered significant withdrawals from joint family funds with no apparent recipient. Multiple payments to a personal business account in Kody's name, one Janelle was never told about. Indications that Robyn Brown's household spending was being borne disproportionately out of these shared funds. Suspicious records revealing that loans had been taken in the name of the family, but paid back from Janelle's contribution. And most damaging of all, more than $1 million in unexplained missing funds, not accounted for by any recognized family project, investment, or expenditure. The forensic accountant's report did more than vindicate Janelle's worst suspicions. It revealed a deliberate scheme that gave every appearance of embezzlement, rather than incompetence. And that was when Janelle made up her mind. Enough was enough. Confrontation and denial. Armed with facts, documents, and proof, Janelle confronted Kody privately before going to the police. According to close sources, the conversation was tense. Janelle presented him with the findings and demanded answers. But instead of owning up to anything, Kody reportedly did what many manipulators do when cornered. He deflected. He allegedly told her, "You don't understand how this works. This is just a misunderstanding. You're blowing this out of proportion. This is for the family's good. You're acting selfish." But Janelle wasn't the same woman she was a decade ago. She wasn't the passive wife, trying to hold a crumbling plural marriage together. She wasn't the silent contributor anymore. She was a woman who had been lied to, used, and discarded, and she was ready to speak up. When Kody would not give valid reasons or paperwork, Janelle did something no wife in that family had ever done. She called the police. The police report in a matter of days. Authorities verified that an official complaint had been lodged. Though the department has not publicly made all the information available, several credible sources verified that Janelle's report involves accusations of embezzlement and financial fraud. She presented proof from her forensic accountant. She asked for an investigation of LLC activity, joint accounts, and family business assets. To report a police report against someone you have once loved, co-parented with, and defended publicly is not an easy feat. But for Janelle, this was not about bitterness. It was about justice. It was about truth. It was about regaining her power after years of having been left in the financial dark. And that choice has now led to something much larger. A potential criminal case that would rock the whole Brown family to its foundation. Support from the other wives. As word of Janelle's police report made the rounds, the responses were quick and telling. Christine Brown, long since estranged from Kody, openly endorsed Janelle on public platforms. During an Instagram Live, she stated, "Janelle is incredibly brave. She's doing what a lot of us were too scared to do. I'm proud of her. It's about time someone stood up and said, this isn't okay." Mary, typically quiet on family scandals, didn't comment, but social media detectives noticed she removed Kody's name and photos from her Instagram bio the same day the story broke. Robyn, on the other hand, was said to have been shocked and hurt. Some insiders report she's lawyered up, worried the investigation could catch her in the crosshairs as well. Others say she knew more than she's admitting. Either way, the fissures in the Brown family have widened into full-blown fault lines. And now the world waits to see who else will be held responsible. The bigger picture: it was never just about the money for Janelle. It was not about the dollars. It's about being used and manipulated, then thrown after all those years of serving for so long. It's about putting in full-time jobs with Kody making appearances. It's about sitting there and being told to trust a man who was silently taking away her future. And when she called the police, it was not filing a report. It was telling every woman watching that you're allowed to speak up, you're allowed to demand answers, and you're allowed to fight back. Final words: the beginning of the end as Section 3 closes. We're no longer talking about reality TV drama. We're talking about a real-life crime. A woman with receipts, a man with power, and a justice system now involved in what was once dismissed as just family issues. Will Kody be charged? Will Robyn be investigated? Will TLC shut it down? We can't be sure, but here's what we do know. Janelle Brown has had enough of keeping quiet. She has the truth on her side. She has the law on her side. And she's just beginning. When Janelle Brown phoned police and accused her ex-husband, Kody Brown, of swindling more than $1 million from the family's communal assets, the shockwaves didn't just ripple through the walls of their already broken home. They slammed into every corner of the Brown kingdom, including all the wives, all the children, the larger polygamist family, their devoted fan base, and even the network suits at TLC. The news flashed like fire. The reaction: explosive, divisive, and completely game-changing. This was not a legal maneuver. This was a catalyst, a bomb that detonated the tightly closed door of secrets, resentment, favoritism, and dysfunction that had been bubbling beneath the surface for years within the universe of sister wives. Let's dissect the responses, one family member at a time. Far ahead of the rest of the wives, Christine Brown was the first to leave the toxic cycle of Kody's favoritism. Her exit had been spun as emotional burnout, as a woman who had ultimately grown beyond an institution that no longer worked for her. But behind closed doors, Christine had always suspected something more profound, particularly when it came to financial equity. She had complained about Coyote Pass, a huge land investment the family never pursued. She'd also wondered how Kody always seemed to have money available for Robyn's needs, but always refused or postponed requests from her or her kids. Therefore, when Janelle made a police report on Kody for financial fraud, Christine wasn't surprised. "I knew something wasn't right all the time," Christine reportedly said to a close friend. "But I didn't have evidence. Janelle does, and now she's doing what we should have done decades ago." Off social media, Christine was just as quick to offer support. In a now viral update, she posted, "Sometimes standing up for yourself means standing alone. But sometimes it means standing with those who've also been hurt. I stand with Janelle." The post elicited hundreds of thousands of likes, thousands of encouraging comments, and ignited the viral hashtag, #JusticeForJanelle. Fans now see Christine and Janelle as more than just ex-wives, but as warriors who risked everything to confront a system designed to shut them up. Maybe no response was more enigmatic and quietly revealing than Mary Brown's. For years, Mary had been stuck in a peculiar place in the Brown family, emotionally detached from Kody, legally divorced, and frequently depicted as lonely, sad, or ignored. While the world has watched her battle to be relevant and accepted,
Mary never publicly demonized Kody. She was passive, cautious, near silence.